The antiseptic burned Maya's nostrils. Sharp, chemical. The kind of smell that clung to the back of your throat and wouldn't let go. She could taste it, metallic and wrong, mixing with the residue of anesthesia that made her tongue feel like sandpaper. Her abdomen throbbed. Not pain exactly. The epidural still dulled the worst of it, but a deep, alien pressure. Like someone had reached inside her, rearranged her organs, and stitched her back together with fishing line. The fluorescent lights above hummed, a monotonous buzz that matched the rhythm of the heart monitor beeping beside her bed. Beep, beep, beep. Each pulse a reminder that she was alive, even though her body felt hollowed out. "Mrs. Coleman?" A nurse's voice cut through the fog. Young, chipper. The kind of voice that belonged in a coffee commercial, not a recovery room. "You did great. 3 healthy babies, 2 boys and a girl, 6 pounds each. That's incredible for triplets." Maya tried to smile. Her lips cracked. Dry. She could feel them splitting at the corners, taste the faint copper of blood. "Can I?" Her voice came out as a rasp. She swallowed, forcing saliva down her raw throat. "Can I see them?" "Soon," the nurse said, patting Maya's arm. The touch was meant to be comforting but felt clinical. Gloved hands, rubber squeaking against her skin. "We're just monitoring them in the NICU. Standard procedure for multiples. Your husband stepped out to make some calls. He said he'd be right back." Husband. The word sat heavy in Maya's chest. Darius. Tall, broad-shouldered Darius Coleman with his perfect teeth and his custom suits. Darius, who had held her hand through the first trimester nausea. Darius, who had rubbed her swollen feet when she couldn't reach them anymore. Darius, who had kissed her forehead this morning before they wheeled her into surgery and whispered, "You're my warrior." Except. He'd been distant lately. Phone calls he'd taken the other room. Late nights at the firm that smelled less like work and more like expensive perfume. A flicker in his eyes when she asked questions, something between guilt and irritation. Maya's fingers curled around the thin hospital blanket. Scratchy. Institutional. The fabric pilled under her nails. She was being paranoid. Hormonal. The doctor had warned her about postpartum emotions hitting hard after a C-section. Triple the babies, triple the chaos in her brain chemistry. The door to her room swung open. Darius walked in, 6'3" of polished perfection. His navy suit was immaculate, not a wrinkle, not a hair out of place. Behind him, Maya's stomach dropped. Behind him was Vanessa Monroe, Darius's paralegal. Blonde, willowy. The kind of woman who looked like she'd never sweated a day in her life. She wore a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than Maya's wedding ring, and her hand was resting on a visible baby bump. Small, maybe 4 months, but unmistakable. "Darius?" Maya's voice cracked. The beeping of the heart monitor quickened. Beep, 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 beep. He didn't look at her. His jaw was set, tight. She could see the muscle twitching near his ear, the way it did when he was about to deliver bad news to a client. "Maya." He pulled a folder from under his arm. "Manila. Legal-sized. The edges were crisp, freshly printed. We need to talk." The room tilted. Or maybe it was just her vision swimming. The anesthesia? No, this was something else. What is she doing here? Maya tried to sit up. Pain lanced through her abdomen, white-hot and immediate. She gasped, falling back against the pillows. Vanessa's hand moved to her own belly. Protective. Possessive. Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Darius, maybe I should wait outside?" "No." His voice was flat. Final. "You're part of this." "Part of what?" The door opened again. This time it was Darius's mother, Catherine Coleman. 70 years of Boston Brahmin superiority packed into a Chanel suit. Her silver hair was pulled back so tight it looked painful, and her mouth was a thin, bloodless line. "Is it done?" Catherine asked, not looking at Maya. She addressed her son like Maya wasn't even in the room. "I'm doing it now." Darius stepped forward. He dropped the folder on Maya's lap. It landed with a soft thud that somehow sounded deafening in the quiet room. Maya's hands shook as she opened it. The words swam. Legal jargon. Whereas and heretofore and party of the first part. But 3 words jumped out, bold and unmistakable. Petition for divorce. No. The word came out strangled. No. "Darius, I should have done this months ago." He crossed his arms, defensive. But there was something else in his posture, relief, like he'd been carrying a weight and was finally setting it down. "This isn't working, Maya. It hasn't been working. I gave birth an hour ago." Her voice cracked into a shriek. The nurse who'd been charting at the corner desk looked up, alarmed, but didn't move. "I gave birth to your children. Alleged children." Catherine stepped forward. Her perfume hit Maya like a slap. Gardenias, overpowering, cloying. "We'll need paternity tests, of course. Given your history." Maya's breath stopped. "My history?" "You worked as a waitress when you met my son." Catherine's lip curled. "You were nobody, from nowhere. We have reason to believe you may have been involved with other men." The lie was so audacious, so perfectly crafted, that for a moment Maya couldn't respond. She could only stare at this woman who had smiled at her at the wedding, who had toasted to their happiness, who had pretended to be excited about grandchildren. "That's not," Maya's voice broke. "That's insane. Darius, tell her. I don't know what to believe anymore." He wouldn't meet her eyes. Coward. "Vanessa and I, we've been together for 8 months. 8 months. She'd been pregnant for 9, so you were cheating on me while I was carrying your babies." Maya's hands were shaking so hard the papers rattled. "You were with her while I was sick every morning. While I gained 60 pounds. While I couldn't sleep because they were kicking. Don't be dramatic." Catherine's voice was ice. "My son is doing you a favor. You'll get a settlement. Enough to manage. But the children will stay with us. We have the resources to raise them properly." "You're not taking my babies." Maya tried to sit up again. This time she pushed through the pain, swinging her legs over the side of the bed. Her hospital gown fell open in the back. She could feel the cool air on her bare skin, the vulnerability of it. "You can't." Darius pulled out another paper. This one was already signed, his signature, bold, confident. "I'm filing for emergency custody. Given your unstable financial situation and lack of support system, the court will likely grant it. My lawyer says it's a formality." Maya looked at Vanessa, really looked at her. The other woman's hand was still on her stomach, protective, smug. "How far along are you?" Maya asked. Vanessa blinked. "What? How far along?" "That's none of your—" "4 months." Maya's laugh was bitter, broken. "You're 4 months pregnant, which means you got pregnant right after my 20-week ultrasound, right after we found out we were having triplets." The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Darius shifted his weight. "That's not— the timeline doesn't—" "Oh my God." Maya pressed her hand to her mouth. The pieces clicked together. "You didn't want triplets. You wanted 1 baby, a manageable family. And when you found out it was 3, you went and made a backup plan." "This is absurd." Catherine's voice rose. "Sign the papers, girl. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Get out." Maya's voice was quiet, deadly. "Get out of my room. You don't get to make demands. Get out!" She screamed it. The heart monitor went wild. "Beep, beep, 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 beep." The nurse came running. "Ma'am, you need to calm down." "They're trying to take my children." Maya grabbed the nurse's arm, her nails dug in. "Desperate. Don't let them near the NICU. Please, please don't let them." Everything went white. Pain exploded across her incision. She'd torn something. She could feel it, a hot, wet sensation spreading across her bandages. "She's bleeding!" The nurse hit a button. Red lights flooded the hallway. "I need a doctor in here now!" The room filled with people. Hands pushed Maya back onto the bed. Someone jabbed a needle into her IV line. The world started to soften, edges blurring. The last thing she saw before the drugs pulled her under was Darius, standing in the corner, watching her bleed out. Not moving, Maya woke to darkness, not the darkness of closed eyes, but the thick, heavy darkness of night, the kind that pressed against the windows and muffled sound. Her mouth was desert dry. She tried to swallow and couldn't. Her tongue stuck to the roof of her mouth, tacky and wrong. The beeping was slower now, steady, calm. She turned her head. It felt like it weighed 100 pounds. A figure sat in the chair beside her bed. Not Darius, an old man. Ancient, really. His skin was the color of worn leather, mapped with lines that spoke of decades in the sun. His hair was white, cropped close to his skull, and his eyes were the same deep brown as hers. Grandfather? The word came out as a croak. James Whitmore leaned forward. His hand covered hers, warm, calloused. Real. I'm here, baby girl. Maya's eyes burned. Tears leaked out, hot and fast, sliding down her temples into her hair. How did you— Nurse called me. You had me listed as your emergency contact. His voice was gravel and honey, deep, textured, the kind of voice that had commanded rooms and closed billion-dollar deals. Told me what happened. Told me about those papers that boy tried to serve you. He's taking them. Maya's voice broke. He's taking my babies. I don't have money for a lawyer. I don't have anything. I've been working at the diner to save up, and Darius paid all the bills, and now he's going to— Hush now. James squeezed her hand. Ain't nobody taking those babies. Not while I'm breathing. You don't understand. His family has money, lawyers, the Coleman name. The Coleman name ain't worth spit. James's smile was slow. Dangerous. You know what I did today, Maya? She shook her head. I made a phone call, one phone call, to the senior partner at Coleman, Hayes and Associates. That's where your husband works, right? Yes, but I informed Mr. Hayes that Whitmore Capital would be withdrawing its $15 million investment in their real estate development downtown, effective immediately. Maya blinked. Whitmore Capital? That's my company, sweetheart. The one I built from nothing. The one I told you about when you were little, before your mama stopped letting me see you. His eyes went distant, sad. I've spent 20 years trying to find you. Your mama, God rest her soul, she was angry when I remarried after your grandmother passed, said I replaced her mother, cut me off, changed her name, moved y'all to a different state. I remember you. Maya's voice was small. I remember you used to bring me peppermints, the red and white swirled ones. You kept them in your pocket. James's voice cracked, even after they got all fuzzy with lint. They sat in silence, the kind of silence that held decades of missed birthdays and lost time. How did you find me? Maya asked finally. I never stopped looking, had investigators. But your mama was smart, she covered her tracks. Then 2 years ago, I got a hit. Obituary. Sarah Whitmore, formerly Sarah Johnson. Survived by one daughter, Maya Johnson. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. I wanted to reach out, but I thought maybe you had a good life. Husband. Stable job. I didn't want to disrupt. I was waiting tables at a diner in Dorchester. Maya's laugh was bitter. Wearing shoes with holes in them. Living in a studio apartment with cockroaches. Some good life. And then you met him. Darius came in for lunch. He was charming, attentive, said he didn't care that I didn't have money or a fancy degree. She closed her eyes. I thought he was different. Men like that are never different. James's voice hardened. They're predators. They find women they think are weak, isolated, and they use them until they're not useful anymore. I gave him 3 children. Maya's voice broke. I gave him everything, and he's going to regret it for the rest of his miserable life. James stood. For an old man, he moved with surprising strength. Now here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, my legal team is filing a countersuit. We're suing for full custody. We're also suing Darius Coleman for adultery, fraud, and emotional distress. I can't afford. I'm worth $3 billion, Maya. James said it simply, matter of fact. And every penny of it is going to make sure you and those babies are protected. You're a Whitmore, my only grandchild. And Whitmores don't lose. Maya stared at him. $3 billion. The number was so large, it didn't feel real, like trying to imagine the distance to the moon. I don't want his money. Her voice was quiet. I just want my children. You'll have them. James leaned down and kissed her forehead. His lips were dry, papery. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we go to war. The morning came too fast. Maya woke to the sound of heels clicking on linoleum. Sharp, rhythmic, getting closer. The door opened. A woman walked in, mid-40s, black suit, red lipstick. She carried a briefcase that probably cost more than Maya's car. Mrs. Coleman, I'm Patricia Onion. I'll be representing you in your divorce proceedings. Maya struggled to sit up. Her abdomen screamed in protest. I didn't hire a lawyer. Your grandfather did. Patricia set the briefcase on the rolling table and opened it. Inside was a stack of documents 2 inches thick. We have a lot to cover. But first, how are you feeling? Like I was hit by a truck. Good. Keep that energy, we're going to need it. Patricia pulled out a pen. I've reviewed the petition your husband filed. It's amateur hour. His lawyer made 3 critical errors that we're going to exploit. But before we get into that, I need to know everything. And I mean everything. When did the affair start? What assets do you know about? Any prenuptial agreement? We didn't have a prenup. Maya's voice was hollow. Darius said he didn't believe in them, said marriage was forever. Patricia's smile was sharp. Even better. Massachusetts is an equitable distribution state, which means you're entitled to half of everything acquired during the marriage. And guess what? Darius Coleman acquired during your marriage. Maya shook her head. A partnership stake in his law firm, worth approximately $5 million. A vacation home in the Berkshires, 2 investment properties in Cambridge, and a very nice portfolio of stocks and bonds. Patricia's eyes gleamed. He thought he was slumming it with a poor girl who wouldn't know how to fight back. He's about to learn different. There was a knock at the door. A different nurse poked her head in. Older than the one from yesterday, tired eyes. Mrs. Coleman, there are some people here who want to take your babies for extended observation. They have some paperwork from Mr. Coleman's lawyer. Maya's blood went cold. Don't let them. Already handled. Patricia didn't look up from her documents. I had a restraining order filed at 6 a.m. this morning. No one from the Coleman family can come within 500 feet of you or the children without court permission. If they try, they'll be arrested. The nurse's eyebrows rose. Well, that's efficient. I don't waste time. Patricia clicked her pen. Now, Maya, tell me about the affair. Start from the first time you suspected. Maya closed her eyes. The memories hurt worse than her incision. It was 3 months ago. I was 6 months pregnant, huge, swollen. I couldn't fit into any of my clothes. She swallowed. Darius started working late. At first I believed him, big case, important client. But then I found a receipt in his pocket. Dinner at Miss Trow. That's a $200 a plate restaurant. The receipt was for 2 people. Did you confront him? He said it was a work dinner, with a client. Maya's hands curled into fists. But I looked up the client. It was a corporation. The dinner wouldn't be expensed like that. And the receipt showed wine. 2 bottles. Darius doesn't drink during work dinners. Patricia was writing everything down. Fast, efficient. What else? There were texts. He'd leave his phone face down. He changed his passcode. And Maya's voice broke. He stopped touching me, said my pregnant body made him uncomfortable. The room was quiet except for Patricia's pen scratching across paper. And you never met Vanessa before yesterday? I met her once, at a firm party. She was polite. Professional. I never suspected. Maya pressed her hands to her face. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. You're trusting. There's a difference. Patricia closed her notebook. Here's what's going to happen. In approximately 2 hours, Darius Coleman is going to receive a summons. He's being sued for alienation of affection, criminal conversation. That's what we call adultery in legal terms, an intentional infliction of emotional distress. We're asking for $10 million in damages. Maya's jaw dropped. $10 million. It won't stick, but it'll scare him. More importantly, I've already filed a motion for emergency child support. Based on his income, he'll be paying approximately $15,000 a month, retroactive to their birth. But I don't want his money. Yes, you do. Patricia's voice was firm. You want him to feel this. Every month when he writes that check, he's going to remember what he threw away. And that money is going into a trust fund for your children, for their education, their future. This isn't about revenge, Maya. This is about justice. The door opened again. This time it was a different visitor. Young, black, wearing scrubs with teddy bears on them. Mrs. Coleman, I'm Dr. Okonkwo from the NICU. Your babies are ready to come meet you. Would you like to see them now? Everything else fell away. Yes. Maya's voice cracked. Please, yes. They brought them in one at a time. First was the girl. Tiny, impossibly tiny. Her skin was deep brown, darker than Maya's, with Darius's strong features. She had a full head of black hair that stuck up in every direction, and when the nurse placed her in Maya's arms, she opened her eyes, gray-green, like the ocean before a storm. This is baby A, Dr. Peer, Okonkwo said softly. 6 pounds, 1 ounce. Perfect Avgar scores. She's a fighter. Maya touched her daughter's cheek. Soft, velvet, soft. The baby's mouth worked, searching, and Maya felt something crack open in her chest. Zora. The name came out without thinking. Her name is Zora. Beautiful name. The doctor smiled. Ready for the boys? They brought the twins together. Identical. Both lighter skinned than their sister, with Maya's nose and Darius's broad forehead. They were wrapped in blue blankets, their faces peaceful and still. Baby B and Baby C, 5 pounds, 14 ounces each. Also, perfect scores. You did good, Mama. Maya held them both, one in each arm, while Zora lay against her chest. The weight of them was overwhelming, terrifying, perfect. Langston, she whispered, looking at the baby on her left, and Anansi, the one on her right. Patricia stepped forward. She'd been quiet, watching from the corner. Those are strong names, names with history. Zora Neale Hurston, Langston Hughes, Anansi the spider, the trickster god. Maya looked up, tears streaming down her face. They're going to need to be fighters, survivors. They're going to need to know their names mean something. A commotion erupted in the hallway, raised voices, angry, getting closer. I have a right to see my children, Darius's voice, loud, entitled. Get out of my way. Sir, you cannot be on this floor? A security guard. The door burst open. Darius stood there, wild-eyed, his suit rumpled for the first time since Maya had known him. Behind him was Catherine, her face twisted with rage, and Vanessa, looking uncertain. You can't keep me from my own children? He started to step forward. Patricia moved, fast. She positioned herself between Darius and the bed. Mr. Coleman, you are currently in violation of a restraining order. If you take one more step, I will have you arrested for contempt of court. This is insane. He looked past her at Maya. Maya, be reasonable. You served me divorce papers an hour after I gave birth. Maya's voice was steady, cold. She held her babies closer. You brought your pregnant mistress to my hospital room, and you tried to take my children before I even woke up from surgery. I can explain. Get out. Maya, please. I said, get out. She looked at the security guard. He's violating a court order. Are you going to remove him, or do I need to call the police? The guard grabbed Darius's arm. Sir, you need to leave. Now. Do you know who I am? Darius tried to pull away. I'm a partner at Coleman Hayes. We're a partner. Patricia's smile was razor sharp, past tense. As of 9 o'clock this morning, you were terminated. Effective immediately. Turns out the managing partners don't appreciate associates who commit adultery with paralegals and then try to serve divorce papers in a hospital recovery room. Bad for the firm's image. Darius went white. They can't. They can. They did. You signed a morality clause when you made partner. Remember, the one you said was just a formality? Patricia pulled out her phone, showing him an email. This is from Richard Hayes himself, quote, We at Coleman Hayes value integrity above all else. Effective immediately, Darius Coleman is no longer affiliated with our firm. His partnership stake is forfeit, unquote. Catherine let out a sound like a wounded animal. That's $5 million. That was his $5 million, Patricia corrected. Now it's the firm's, and they're donating it to a women's shelter in Maya's name. Isn't that poetic? Darius staggered backward. His face had gone from white to gray. You're destroying me. No. Maya looked at him, really looked at him. Saw the man behind the suit for the first time. Small, weak, cruel. You destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure you can't hurt anyone else. Sir. The security guard's voice was firm. Let's go. Or I'm calling Boston PD. They dragged him out. Catherine followed, shrieking about lawyers and defamation and how they'd ruin Maya's life. Vanessa lingered in the doorway, her hand on her belly, looking between Maya and the hallway. He told me you were separated. Her voice was small. He said the marriage was over, that you were just staying together for the pregnancy. And you believed him? Maya asked. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I'm 23, I thought. He was so successful, so confident. I thought he loved me. He doesn't love anyone but himself. Maya shifted Langston to her shoulder. You'll figure that out soon enough. Vanessa left without another word. The room fell silent. Dr. Okonkwo cleared her throat. Well, that was dramatic, Patricia snorted. Just wait until the custody hearing. 3 days later, Maya was discharged. James pulled up to the hospital entrance in a car that made people stop and stare. A Bentley, midnight blue. The leather interior smelled like money, rich, buttery, new. "This is too much," Maya said as he helped her into the back seat. Every movement pulled at her incision. She moved like an old woman, shuffled and slow. "Nothing is too much for my family." James had already installed 3 car seats, top of the line, the kind that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. "I had your apartment packed up. Everything's been moved to the house." "What house?" "My house." "Well, one of them." He pulled out into traffic. "Smooth, easy. I have a place in Brookline, 6 bedrooms, full staff, nurse on call for the babies. You'll stay there until you're healed. Then we'll figure out what comes next." Maya looked out the window. Boston scrolled past. Brick buildings, narrow streets. The city she'd struggled in for years, working double shifts, skipping meals to pay rent. "I can't just live off you," she said quietly. "Why not?" "Because I'm not a charity case." James was quiet for a long moment. The car turned onto Commonwealth Avenue, gliding past brownstones that cost millions. "Your grandmother, my Lena. She worked 3 jobs when we first got married. I was trying to start my business. Real estate development. We had nothing. I mean nothing, Maya. We ate beans out of a can and slept on a mattress on the floor." Maya had never heard this story. "Lena would come home at midnight, feet bleeding from standing all day, and she'd still ask me about my dreams, about the buildings I wanted to create. She believed in me when I had nothing to offer but promises." His voice cracked. "When the business took off, when we finally had money, I bought her everything. Dresses, jewelry, a house with a garden because she loved roses. And you know what she said?" Maya shook her head. She said, "James, I don't need things. I just need you to remember where we came from." He pulled up to a massive iron gate. It swung open automatically. "I built this empire for her. And when she died, I tried to share it with your mama. But she was too proud, too angry, and I lost both of them. The house, no, the mansion rose up before them. 3 stories of pale stone and mullioned windows. Ivy crawled up the walls. The front lawn looked like it belonged on a golf course. I'm not losing you again, baby girl." James put the car in park. "This isn't charity. This is family. This is what family does." The front door opened. A woman emerged. Black, early 60s. Her hair was steel gray, cut close to her skull, and she wore a simple navy dress with comfortable shoes. Her face was round and warm, but her eyes were sharp. "That's Mrs. Henderson," James said. "She runs the house. Has for 20 years. She's going to help with the babies. Don't even try to say no. She raised 4 kids of her own. She knows what she's doing." Mrs. Henderson came down the steps and opened Maya's door. "Lord have mercy, look at you. All skin and bones and stitches. Come on, honey, let's get you inside. I've got soup on the stove. Real soup, not that canned nonsense." The next hour was a blur. Mrs. Astor Henderson had prepared a suite on the 2nd floor. Bedroom, sitting room, private bathroom with a tub the size of a small pool. The bedroom had been converted into a nursery on one side. 3 cribs, a changing table, a rocking chair. "I took the liberty," James said, looking almost sheepish. "I hope it's okay." Maya stood in the middle of the room holding Zora while Langston and Anansi slept in their car seats. "It's too much," she whispered. "It's not enough." James kissed her forehead. "Now rest. Mrs. Henderson and I will handle the night shift. You need to heal." Maya wanted to argue, wanted to insist she could do it herself, but her body betrayed her. Exhaustion crashed over her like a wave. She let Mrs. Henderson help her into bed. The sheets were crisp, clean. They smelled like lavender. "Thank you," Maya whispered. "Hush now." Mrs. Henderson pulled the blanket up to her chin. "You just sleep. Those babies are going to keep you busy enough when you're healed." Maya closed her eyes. For the first time in months, she felt safe. The peace lasted exactly 4 days. Maya was in the kitchen, attempting to make breakfast one-handed while holding Zora, when the doorbell rang. Mrs. Henderson appeared from the pantry, wiping her hands on her apron. "I'll get it." She came back 2 minutes later, holding an envelope. "Process server," she said grimly. "Darius Coleman's lawyers filed for emergency custody. There's a hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning at 9. Maya's blood went cold. "Tomorrow?" That's not enough time. Patricia's already on it. James emerged from his study, phone pressed to his ear. She's filing a continuance. We'll push it back at least 2 weeks. But the continuance was denied. The hearing was at 9 a.m. sharp, in family court downtown. Maya dressed carefully. Patricia had sent over clothes, a navy suit, modest but expensive. Nothing flashy, nothing that would make her look like she was trying too hard. "Remember," Patricia said as they walked into the courthouse, "don't react, no matter what they say. The judge is watching everything." The courtroom was small, windowless. It smelled like old paper and furniture polish. Darius sat on the opposite side with his new lawyer, not the fumbling associate who drafted the original petition. This was Arnold Simmons, legendary. He'd represented senators and celebrities in their divorces. He cost $20,000 just to show up. Maya's stomach dropped. But then Patricia smiled. "Just a little. Don't worry," she whispered. "He's expensive. But I'm better." Judge Margaret Thornton entered. She was in her 60s, with steel gray hair and reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She looked tired. But she'd seen every variation of human ugliness and wasn't impressed by any of it. "All rise for the Honorable Judge Thornton." They stood. "Be seated. Case number 24-D7793, Coleman versus Coleman, emergency petition for custody." She looked over her glasses at Darius. "Mr. Darius Coleman, you filed this petition 4 days after your children were born. Want to explain that to me?" Arnold Simmons stood. "Your Honor, my client has serious concerns about the mother's ability to provide adequate care." Mrs. Abernus, "Coleman has no stable income, no permanent residence, and has a history of mental instability." "Mental instability?" Maya started to stand. Patricia pulled her back down. "I have documentation," Simmons continued, pulling out a file. "Hospital records indicating Mrs. Coleman had a psychotic break in the recovery room post-surgery. She became violent and had to be sedated." "That's not—" Maya couldn't stop herself. "He tried to take my babies while I was bleeding." "Mrs. Coleman." "Coleman." Judge Thornton's voice was sharp. "You'll have your chance to speak. Sit down." Patricia stood. "Your Honor, if I may address the so-called psychotic break." Mrs. Coleman had just undergone a traumatic C-section. She was in recovery when Mr. Coleman entered her room with his pregnant mistress and his mother and attempted to serve her with divorce papers. When she became upset, understandably so, her surgical incision reopened. That's not a psychotic break. That's a medical emergency caused by extreme emotional distress. "Alleged mistress?" Simmons interjected. "Oh, there's nothing alleged about it." Patricia pulled out her own file. "I have phone records showing over 5,000 text messages between Mr. Exter, Coleman and Vanessa Monroe over an 8-month period, including several explicit images that I will not show in open court out of respect for everyone's digestion." The judge's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Continue." "I also have credit card statements showing Mr. Coleman purchased lingerie, jewelry, and hotel rooms, all while his wife was pregnant with triplets, and Ms. Monroe is currently 4 months pregnant with his child. The timeline speaks for itself." Darius shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. "Furthermore," Patricia continued, "Mr. Coleman's claim that Mrs. Coleman has no stable income or residence is deliberately misleading. Mrs. Coleman is the granddaughter of James Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Capital. Mr. Prussia. Whitmore has offered to provide full financial support for his granddaughter and great-grandchildren. They currently reside in his home in Brookline, which is staffed with a full-time nurse and housekeeper. Mrs. Coleman's children want for nothing." "Whitmore Capital?" The judge's eyebrows rose. "The Whitmore Capital?" "Yes, Your Honor." There was a long silence. Judge Thornton looked at Darius. "Mr. Coleman, did you know your wife was James Whitmore's granddaughter when you filed for divorce?" "I? No, Your Honor." "So you served divorce papers to a woman you believed was destitute and friendless immediately after she gave birth to your triplets?" The judge's voice was flat. "And you brought your pregnant girlfriend to the hospital to witness this?" "Your Honor, my client?" "I'm not talking to you, Mr. Simmons. I'm talking to your client." She leaned forward. "Mr. Bust. Coleman, I've been on the bench for 30 years. I've seen a lot of terrible behavior. But this might take the cake." Darius's face was red. "Your Honor, with all respect, I'm not finished." She turned to Patricia. Ms. Nguyen, I'm denying the emergency petition for custody. Mrs. Coleman retains full physical and legal custody of all 3 children. Mr. Coleman will have supervised visitation only, pending a full custody evaluation. Your Honor, that's highly unusual. So is serving divorce papers in a recovery room. Judge Thornton closed the file. Anything else? Yes, Your Honor. Patricia smiled. We'd like to request emergency child support, based on Mr. Stee Coleman's previous income. Previous income? Simmons interrupted. My client is currently unemployed. By his own choice, Patricia shot back. He was terminated from Coleman, Hayes, and Associates for violating the firm's morality clause. That doesn't negate his obligation to support his children. Based on what? Simmons demanded. He has no income. He has assets, real estate, investment accounts, a trust fund established by his mother. Patricia was enjoying this. We're requesting he liquidate sufficient assets to provide $15,000 per month in child support, retroactive to the date of birth. The judge nodded. Granted. Mr. Coleman, you have 30 days to provide documentation of all assets. If you fail to comply, I'll hold you in contempt. Anything else? No, Your Honor. Then we're adjourned. She banged the gavel. Maya sat frozen. It took Mrs. Brosen, Henderson, who'd been sitting in the back row, to come get her. Come on, honey, let's go home. Outside, reporters had gathered. Somehow, word had leaked. Cameras flashed. Mrs. Coleman, is it true your husband left you for his paralegal? Mr. Coleman, how do you respond to allegations? Patricia stepped in front of Maya, blocking the cameras. My client has no comment at this time. All questions should be directed to my office. They made it to the car. James was waiting, engine running. How'd it go? He asked. We won, Patricia said simply. For now. Maya leaned her head back against the seat. Her incision throbbed. Her breasts ached. She was late for a feeding, but for the first time since this nightmare started, she felt like she could breathe. What happens next? She asked. Patricia pulled out her tablet. Next, we go on the offensive. I've already filed a motion to depose Vanessa Monroe. We're going to ask her under oath when the affair started. What promises Darius made. Whether she knew he was married. Her testimony is going to bury him. And the custody evaluation? Maya's voice was small. What if they find something wrong with me? They won't. James reached back and squeezed her hand. Because there's nothing wrong with you. You're a good mother. You're strong. And you have an entire team of people making sure those babies stay with you where they belong. The car pulled up to the house. Mrs. Henderson had the front door open before they'd even parked. Babies are fed and changed, she called out. But Miss Zora is asking for her mama. Won't stop fussing. Maya smiled. The first real smile in days. I'm coming, baby girl. She walked inside. Home. 6 weeks passed. The custody evaluator came and went. A stern woman named Dr. Tong Castellanos, who spent 3 hours observing Maya with the babies, asking questions, reviewing medical records. You're doing well, she said at the end. Better than most mothers of multiples. The children are healthy, bonded. You're attentive without being smothering. I'll recommend continued sole custody. Maya cried for an hour after she left. Relief, pure relief. Darius's visitation had been a disaster. He'd shown up twice, stayed for 20 minutes each time, looked uncomfortable the entire time, and left early. The third scheduled visit, he didn't show up at all. He doesn't want them, Maya told James one night. They were in the library. The babies were finally asleep. She had a glass of wine, her first since before the pregnancy. It tasted like freedom. He just wanted to punish me. Men like Darius don't want children, James said. They want trophies, and when the trophy doesn't look the way they imagined, they lose interest. What about Vanessa's baby? James's smile was grim. According to my sources, Ms. Monroe has stopped returning his calls. She lawyered up, filed for child support. Turns out she's smarter than she looks. Maya laughed. It felt good. So he's going to be paying child support for 4 children, to 2 different women. Karma's a bitch. James raised his glass, and she doesn't forget. The following week, Maya got a call from Patricia. We have a settlement offer. Maya's heart stopped. What kind of offer? Darius wants to relinquish his parental rights. Completely. No visitation, no custody, nothing. In exchange, he's offering a one-time lump sum payment of $200,000, and he walks away. 200,000? Maya's voice was hollow. For 3 children? It's insulting, Patricia agreed. But here's the thing, if he gives up his rights, he also gives up his obligations. No child support, ever. It's a gamble on his part. He's betting that you'll take the money and disappear. What happens if I say no? Then we go to trial, and I will eviscerate him. But trials are expensive, emotionally draining. It could take years. Maya was quiet for a long moment. What do you think I should do? Patricia's voice softened. I think you should ask yourself one question. Do you want that man in your children's lives? Because if you say no to this offer, he'll always be there. Hovering, making demands, showing up at birthdays and graduations with new wives and new children, making everyone uncomfortable. Maya looked across the room at the triplets. They were on a playmat. Zora was trying to grab her own feet. Langston was staring at a mobile like it held the secrets of the universe. Anansi was drooling contentedly. They were 8 weeks old, perfect, unblemished. I don't want him near them, Maya said. Not ever. Then let him go. Maya talked to James that night. It's your choice, he said. But I'll tell you this. I'd rather give you $2 million out of my own pocket than let that man have a claim on my great-grandchildren. I don't want your money either, grandfather. Too bad. You're getting it anyway. He pulled out a folder. I had my lawyers draw up a trust. Equal shares for each child, $50 million, payable when they turn 25. They'll never want for anything. Maya stared at the number. 50 million per child, 150 million total. That's too much. It's not enough. James's voice was fierce. I missed 20 years with you, Maya. 20 years of birthdays and Christmases and first days of school. I'm not missing another day. Not with you, not with them. Maya signed the settlement. Darius Coleman relinquished all parental rights on a Tuesday morning in March. He didn't show up to the signing. His lawyer delivered the documents. Patricia called with the news. It's done. He's gone. Legally, he has no claim to the children, ever. Maya hung up the phone. She walked upstairs to the nursery. The babies were awake. Zora was chewing on her fist. Langston was kicking his legs. Anansi was watching her with those serious eyes. Your father's gone, Maya whispered. And I'm not sorry. Because you have everything you need right here. You have me. You have your great-grandfather. You have a family that's going to love you and protect you, and make sure you grow up knowing your worth. She picked up Zora. The baby grabbed her hair, pulled. It hurt. Maya laughed. You're going to be trouble, she said. All 3 of you, and I can't wait. 1 year later. The ballroom at the Four Seasons was packed. Boston's elite. Politicians, business leaders, society matrons in designer gowns, the annual Whitmore Foundation Gala, James's pet project, a charity benefiting single mothers and their children. Maya stood at the edge of the room, watching James work the crowd. At 80, he was still formidable, still commanded attention. You should be out there, Mrs. Henderson said. She'd been invited as a guest tonight. Wore a beautiful emerald gown that made her skin glow. You're the guest of honor. I'm nervous. Maya smoothed her dress. Red, elegant, custom-made. All these people are here because your grandfather asked them to be. And because you're his granddaughter. Own it, honey. Maya took a breath and walked into the light. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Is that James Whitmore's granddaughter? The one with the triplets? I heard her husband left her for his secretary. Ex-husband. And good riddance. Maya made it halfway across the room before someone stepped in front of her. Vanessa Monroe. She looked terrible. Thin. Drawn. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail and her dress, while expensive, hung off her frame. Maya! Her voice was quiet. Can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 5 minutes. Maya looked around. Patricia was across the room watching like a hawk. James was deep in conversation with the mayor, but Mrs. Henderson gave her a small nod. Fine, 5 minutes. They walked to an alcove near the bathrooms. Private, quiet. Vanessa's hands were shaking. I need to tell you something about Darius, about everything. I don't want to hear. He hit me. The words came out in a rush. 2 weeks ago. I asked him for money for the baby, for diapers and formula, and he said I was bleeding him dry, said I was just like you, a leech. And he—" she touched her cheek. Maya could see the faint yellow of a fading bruise. "He hit me!" The room tilted. "Did you call the police?" "No, I was scared. He said if I reported him, he'd make sure I never saw my daughter again. He has lawyers. Money. I have nothing." Maya's jaw clenched. "Where is your daughter now?" "With a babysitter. I can't afford childcare, so I'm working again. Cocktail waitressing. Night shifts. I'm so tired, Maya. I'm so tired and I—" Her voice broke. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I did. For believing him. For thinking I was special." Maya looked at this woman. This girl, really. 24 years old, baby at home, bruise on her face. "Come with me." "What?" Maya grabbed her arm, not roughly, but firmly. "Come with me." She pulled Vanessa across the ballroom to where James stood. "Grandfather, this is Vanessa Monroe. She needs help." James looked at Vanessa. Really looked. Saw the bruise. Saw the fear. "What kind of help?" Darius hit her. "She has a baby. No money. No support." James's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Something cold. "Mrs. Henderson," he called. She appeared instantly. "Yes, Mr. Whitmore." "Take Ms. Moore 4. Monroe to the house. Get her settled in the West Wing. Call Dr. Chen. I want that bruise documented, photographed, and call Patricia. Tell her we have another case." "Wait!" Vanessa looked between them. "I can't. I don't deserve." "Nobody deserves to be hit," Maya said quietly. "Not by someone who's supposed to love them." Vanessa started crying, big, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. Mrs. Henderson wrapped an arm around her. "Come on, honey. Let's get you out of here." They left. James looked at Maya. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." Maya's voice was firm. "She made a mistake. She believed a liar. But she doesn't deserve to be beaten for it. And that baby, Darius's daughter, she doesn't deserve to grow up watching her mother be abused. You're kinder than I would be." "No, I'm just tired of being angry." Maya looked across the ballroom. "Anger is exhausting, and I have 3 babies at home who need me to be better than that." James smiled. "Your grandmother would be proud." "I hope so." The gala continued. Maya gave a short speech. Thanked the donors, told her story, briefly, without melodrama. The single mother who'd been left with nothing, the grandfather who'd found her just in time. The crowd applauded. Checks were written. By the end of the night, they'd raised $3 million. For women like Vanessa. For women like Maya had been. For women who just needed someone to believe in them. 2 weeks later, Maya got a call from Patricia. "Darius has been arrested." Maya's hands went numb. "For what?" "Assault." Vanessa filed charges. With the photographs and Dr. Chen's testimony, the DA thinks they have a solid case. He's looking at up to 2 years. Maya sat down. "Hard. How do you feel?" Patricia asked. "I don't know." Maya looked at the triplets. They were 4 months old now, getting bigger. Zora was trying to roll over. The boys were cooing at each other in their twin language. "Part of me is glad, part of me is sad, not for him, but for the man I thought he was." "That man never existed, Maya." "You loved a mask, not a person, I know." They were quiet for a moment. "There's something else," Patricia said. "Vanessa wants to testify, but she's terrified. She needs support." "I'll be there." Maya didn't hesitate. "Tell her I'll be there." The trial was short. Darius's lawyer tried to argue self-defense, tried to claim Vanessa was unstable, vindictive, but the photographs were damning. The bruise, the busted lip, the testimony from Dr. Chen. And then Vanessa took the stand. She was nervous, kept twisting her hands, but her voice was steady. "He told me I was special," she said, "that his wife didn't understand him, that once the divorce was final, we'd be a family. But after the baby came," her voice cracked, "he changed, or maybe he didn't change. Maybe I just finally saw him clearly." "Can you describe the night of the assault?" "I asked him for money, for formula. Our daughter was crying and I was out of formula and I needed help. He said I was a gold digger, that I trapped him. And then she touched her face. "He hit me, open-handed, hard enough to split my lip." "What did you do?" "I left. I took the baby and I left, and I went to the only person I thought might help me, Who was that? Maya Coleman, his ex-wife. The courtroom buzzed. Darius's lawyer stood. Objection, Your Honor. This is irrelevant. Overruled. The witness may continue. I didn't know if she'd help me. I wouldn't have helped me. But she... Vanessa looked across the courtroom at Maya. She saved me. She gave me a place to stay, got me medical care, helped me file charges. She had every reason to hate me, but she chose kindness instead. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty. Darius Coleman was sentenced to 18 months in prison, plus mandatory anger management, plus a restraining order preventing him from contacting Vanessa or Maya. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Mrs. Coleman! How do you feel about the verdict? Are you satisfied with the sentence? What's next for you and your children? Maya stopped, looked at the cameras. Justice was served today. Not just for Vanessa, but for every woman who's been told she's not enough, who's been discarded, who's been hit and told it was her fault. She took a breath. My children are going to grow up knowing that strength isn't about money or power. It's about choosing kindness even when you've been hurt. It's about standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. That's what my grandfather taught me. That's what I'll teach them. What about Darius Coleman? I hope he gets the help he needs, but mostly, I hope he stays far away from my family. She walked away. James was waiting by the car. He opened the door for her. Well said. Thanks. Maya slid into the back seat. The leather was cool against her skin. Can we go home? I need to feed the babies. Already ahead of you. James smiled. Mrs. Henderson has bottles ready. The car pulled away from the courthouse, away from the cameras and the questions and the past, toward home, toward the 3 babies who didn't care about scandals or sentences, who just wanted their mother. And Maya realized, as the city blurred past the window, that she'd won. Not because Darius was in prison, not because she had money or a mansion or revenge, but because she'd survived. She'd been thrown away like garbage, and she'd built herself into something unbreakable. She'd become the mother her children deserved, the granddaughter her grandfather had searched for, the woman she was always meant to be. The car turned onto the tree-lined street in Brookline. The iron gate swung open. Home. Finally, truly, home.